All right, we'll be beginning the webinar in like 5 minutes.
Hi guys, good evening. Monica, have you connected yet?
Harsh Mahima here. The
Okay,
host.
hi Mahima.
We'll be beginning in like 5 minutes. Yeah.
Okay,
Let
sure.
more people join in. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
This meeting is being recorded.
All right, we are good to start. So, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining this session. My name is Mahima, and I'll be your host for the session. During the session, I would request you all to keep your mics and video cameras off. And in case you have any doubts, you can unmute yourself or ask, or use the chat box for the same. All right. Let me quickly take you through Techcanvass first. Techcanvass is an IT certifications training organization. We help professionals crack their certification exams in the first attempt. We are IIB endorsed and PMI authorized training partners. We offer certification trainings for courses like CBAP, ECBA, CCBA, Agile, PSM, PMP, and more. We also have domain trainings into healthcare, finance, and more. All right, so that was about Tech Canvas. Speaking of today's session, it'll be definitely helpful for those who are interested in becoming a Scrum Master. Harsh will be sharing amazing tips and tricks with us. So, okay, over to you, Harsh. Thank you all for joining us.
Thanks, Mahima. All right. So, good evening, friends. A very warm welcome to a brand new episode of Tech and Bus weekly webinars. This is something that we have been doing for a long, very long time. We have these weekly sessions, especially on the weekends, where professionals can come in and join us, either to share their own experience or where we share our experiences with them. Right. So, my name is Harshara, and today we will look at the Scrum Master certification path very specifically. I'll not deviate from that path. Okay. We'll also try to uncover whether it's important to even secure a Scrum Master certification. That is a kind of part of it. Okay. So that your goal becomes very easy. It becomes more understandable to you, more achievable to you. So I'll start. Okay, I'm already sharing my screen. What I'll do is this is my agenda for today. We are going to look at the Agile Manifesto. Why? Because all those folks who are into Agile, who are into Scrum, Kanban, right? They should have a very clear understanding of Agile Manifesto. Some of you might be you guys may be preparing for Scrum Master certification, or you may be looking Scrum Mastership as a career in future, right? Understanding Agile Manifesto, the four values that's written in the manifesto, and the 12 principles that we have under Agile Manifesto. That's very important to understand. If you don't understand it well, probably somewhere you will falter down. Okay, so we'll look at that. Um, We will also look at the Scrum Master roles and responsibilities that has been prescribed by the Scrum Guide 2020 version. Okay. There are two very popular Scrum certifications in the market that are very prevalent. We'll talk about those. I'll walk you through the Scrum Mastership path that we have, right from beginners level to expert level. Okay. I have some certain tips for you when you will go ahead and prepare for the exam or whenever you are into your preparation mode. Probably it may help. And finally, we have takeaways that you can, I'll give you the key sources from where you can learn more about Scrum Mastership. Okay. So let's start with the Agile Manifesto. Um, I'll not go into very detail because it's a very short session, just 1 hour. Okay. And usually the classes take around 16 hours, around that much time to make you understand what Agile Manifesto is. Um, but just have a look at this image. It says we are uncovering better ways of developing software by doing it and helping others do it. Through this work, we have to come to value that individuals and interactions over processes and tools. So there are four items that are written on the left side, and there are four items that are on the right side. And they say that while there is a value in the items on the right, we value the items on the left more. And that's what the crux of Agile is. Now, Agile is an umbrella term that we use for a lot of frameworks, a lot of practices that we have under Agile. Scrum is one of the practice. Scrum is one of the frameworks that we follow that uh, that kind of adheres to the Agile Manifesto and Agile principles. Okay. Similarly, we have Kanban, we have got Crystal, we have got XP. There are a lot of other around 20 to 25. similar practices that we follow in the industry. But the most prevalent one today is Scrum and Kanban. I'll not talk about Kanban. It's a very different topic. It's suited only for certain kind of industries or certain kind of work procedure. So we'll just focus on Scrum today. Okay. Now, what it means? So why did it come into picture? Why Agile came into picture? So if you have been through an environment where there was a very um, planned approach that we have followed. Planned approach in the sense that we used to make plans. So I'm talking about the software industry that was there at least 10 years back. So in last 50 years, this is the kind of approach we have followed. We used to have, we used to make plans. Our project managers used to make plans and we used to stick to them. We used to follow that plan, every step in that. That was the whole motive. That was the kind of execution process that we have followed all these years, all those 40, 50 years in the industry. So it sounds good, that you are following a plan. But in today's world is so uncertain that it is very difficult to follow a plan. You cannot make a plan in a very uncertain world right up front. A lot of things are changing. Every day there is a new change. Look at what happened in the industry in the last 2.5 years. I'm talking particularly about COVID situation, right? Nobody had planned that. Nobody had planned anything about it. And that's why I say that world is so uncertain. So in such an uncertain world, you cannot make upfront plans, that you plan out for the next 1 year. You may have a certain kind of clarity. You may have a certain kind of thought process in mind that this is what I'll be doing in next 1 year. But things are going to change. Every day there will be a new change. And that is something where Agile comes into picture. So in the industry, this is how we have evolved in last 40, 50 years. Okay. And that's why Agile came in. Because Agile doesn't talk about project. It talks about your value. It talks about the product mindset. And there were a set of people, I think 17 or 18 people, sometime in 1995, around that time, in the uh, 1995 to somewhere around 2000, they came up with Agile Manifesto. They realized that this is not how the industry is going to go. We'll have to make changes because the market is very uncertain. Okay. And that's when they came up with the Agile Manifesto. We were so much into that, following that plan, that we were not able to deliver the value. Our entire focus was especially on project execution, managing the budget, managing the schedule, managing the cost, resources, quality, all those things. But that's not what the customers want. They are not bothered about it. They just want value, right? And that's where Agile picks up heavily. Okay, so what it says is individuals and interactions over processes and tools. So if you look at the those traditional approaches, I'm talking specifically about project management. I'm not saying that it's bad. That's not the case, but it was mostly about processes and tools. There were certain processes that you have to follow, the company standards. You have to you have to utilize certain kind of tools to get the project going. That was the whole idea. I'm talking about the past. But that's not what Agile says. Agile says is that interactions, individuals and interactions are more important, are more valuable. And you'll see, you might have experienced it somewhere in your life, right? That having that kind of relationship with people is more important than following a particular process because things are changing every now and then. So a laid out process that's already there in your organization may or may not help. Working software over comprehensive documentation. So the traditional approaches were very much focused on, you know, coming up with technical documents, requirements document, BRDs and DFDs and whatnot. There were so many documents that there was a dedicated team for that, for maintaining that. But that's not what customers want, right? They need a working software. I as a customer, you can take any example. I as a Swiggy customer or I as a Netflix customer, I don't want to see your document, guys. Come on. I just want a working software, a good working software. That's it. Right. Customer collaboration over contract negotiation. So previous approaches were very much into contract negotiation. They used to maintain those contracts, and you had to follow it because of some kind of legal foundation. Right. But now the focus is more on customer collaboration. We will collaborate with customers frequently so that we understand what their true requirements, what their needs are. We empathize with them. And that's how we get the right kind of requirements with this as a team. Okay. Then responding to change over following a plan. So as I've already mentioned that this was too much, our traditional approaches were, that waterfall approach particularly, that was too much into following a plan. Everything was done step by step. And it used to take months to complete that step. So if I'm into a requirement gathering session, that entire phase will take around 3 or 4 months. Then we will have design sessions that will take another 3 or 4 months. Then our developers will start coding. That takes very long. Then we'll have a testing phase. Then we'll have UAT phase, right? Then deployment, and then post deployment. There's so many activities. And after the end of all that, then the customer used to get the result, right? And we have to stick to a plan. But the current world doesn't allow it. Why? Because every day there's a change. I'm sure a lot of you, I mean, I'm guessing half of you, some of you are using iPhones, some of you are using Android phones, right? Look at the applications that you have installed in your phones. Every third day or fourth day, you'll be getting a new version. Why? Because things are changing. Customers need new things now, right? There are bugs, there are a lot of things, there are enhancements also, right? And that's why, as uh, as a Scrum Master, as a Scrum practitioner, you have to respond to changes. But if you keep on following a plan, probably you'll not be able to cater to the requirements of the customer if you just stick to that plan. Okay, and that's why the Agile Manifesto has got these four, and these are called the values, the four values of Agile Manifesto. So always remember when you're preparing for the for your Scrum exam, there won't be any direct question about Agile Manifesto, but this as a Scrum Master, as part of this community, you need to understand what it means. Based on this, we have got 12 principles of Agile. These are the 12 principles of Agile. Okay, and stay clear. Uh, this is not Scrum. I haven't started Scrum yet. I'm talking about Agile because Scrum is based on Agile. Okay, so stay clear of that. These are the 12 points based on which the entire Agile methodology is built. The Agile concept is built. Okay, and these are the 12 principles. The first principle says that our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. Very important point because in a decade back, probably our focus was just to execute the project, that our project should be successful. But now, what it means is, what Agile says is that we have to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery. We have to keep on continuously delivering value to the customers. It could be every week, it could be twice a week, it could be a fortnight, it could be a month. That's based on what time period, what time box you have chosen as a sprint. Okay. Contrary to this is what used to happen long back. The entire project used to get completed in 1, 2 years, 2, 3 years, and then the customer used to look at that product. And by that time, the things would have changed in the market. And that's the reason why Agile sticks to this point that your highest priority should be to satisfy. And that's why it's the number one principle, continuous delivery. Keep that in mind. Okay. Welcome changing requirements, even late. So it's part of the evolution that has happened in last so many years. Earlier, when there were requirements that came late in the project, it was very difficult to accommodate those changes. But now that's not the case. If you are following agile principles, if you are probably you have implemented Scrum as a process framework in your projects, you will always welcome the changes because that's what it is all about. That's why it's there. Deliver working software frequently. Uh, so instead of what used to happen in old days, good old days, was that you're working on a project, a banking software that, let's say, for example, you're building a banking software. It used to take years, probably 1 or 1.5 years to build that entire platform, and then you used to give it to your customers. Now that's not the case. We start building early, and we start delivering it early in sequence, in phases, in very short cycles. Every 2 weeks, I'm going to give my uh, client some kind of feature. And that's how we start getting the value right in the beginning. That was the whole essence behind this. Business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project. So one of the problems with the traditional approaches was with traditional project management was that you used to have conversation with your clients, you know, not very frequently, probably in certain kind of meetings once in a month. That was the whole idea in that. Right? The mindset was not like that. But in Agile, in Scrum particularly, we do it very often. We do it probably 2 weeks, every 2 weeks. Your product owner, if you have implemented Scrum, your product owner would be talking to your stakeholders very frequently. And that's the right way to do it because now they know what is the current standing in the market, how the requirements are changing. Right? And that's why whatever changes are there in the market that are happening, they are going to, uh, based on that, they are going to then reprioritize their product backlog. So that was the whole idea behind that. Build projects around motivated individuals, give them environment and support. I'll not touch on that. Uh, Little time consuming. The most efficient and effective method of conveying information and within a development team is face-to-face conversation. This is I'm very particular about this one because uh, I'm sure some of you are working right in an organization. Lot many times, if you have a question, probably you just send a message on Teams, Microsoft Teams, or any other channel that you use, right? And that takes time. Instead of that, just walk down to that person's desk and just talk to that person. That's the best way. And that's what Agile believes in. And that's the most effective method of communication, of conveying information. Have a face to face conversation. Because in this case, what you're also able to see is the non-verbal clues that we have. When you're communicating with somebody, their body language, their expressions, even that is important to understand. Okay. Working software is the primary measure of progress. So, uh, obviously, I'm not really interested in knowing what you have, h- how your non-working, non-software things are working, how your team is working. As a customer, I'm just interested in knowing uh, what have you built as a value in this software. No, I'm not really interested uh, in your policies, in your HR policies, or whether you are CMMI level 5 company or not. I'm not interested in that. If you are giving as a client, as a Netflix customer, I'm giving you just a very small example. As a Netflix customer, I don't care what kind of architecture you have built in the background, but I should be able to watch the web series um, without any kind of buffering time, right? I should be able to get my whatever I feel like watching, uninterrupted service. So I am not really worried about what they do in the background. Right? For me, as a Netflix customer, you guys are good for me only because you have got a working software. That's it. And that's what the customers want. So just think over it. Are you guys getting the entire idea behind what used to happen in those old days? I'm talking about last 50 years, what has happened in the industry, and now what's happening. It's more customer focused. It's more end user focused. We are talking about uh, customer experience, user experience these days, right? User engagement. They're not worried about whether the project is as per the plan or not. No, nobody talks about that these days. I mean, there would be some cases. I'm not saying that it has completely faded out. No, but the focus is more on customer value these days. Mm. Then you have to work on sustainable pace. There are times with the traditional approaches that you guys, your development team is so much into work in the beginning phase. When you start the development process, usually the developers go little casual. Mhm. But when the date is approaching to finalize the coding phase, they start working extra hours. So that should not be the case. You should work at a constant pace. It's like a heartbeat. Your heartbeat through the entire day should remain nearly consistent, around 80 beats, 70 to whatever that range is based on the age, should remain consistent until unless you are doing some kind of exercise, right? And that's what the whole idea is. You have to be very consistent. Then continuous attention to technical excellence and good design enhances agility. Yes, absolutely. Because when we talk of technical excellence, it's only with the, that when you are evolving as a team, you have to make sure that you are accommodating all those features, the new technologies that will give you a better design, or maybe embracing new kind of design systems, new kind of approaches, software engineering practices that are prevalent in the market should embrace that. Don't stick with your old methodology because it was working someday. You have to get better. Just remember that. You have to evolve into a better team. That's what the whole idea is. Simplicity, the art of maximizing the amount of work not done is essential. A very important point because this talks about your uh, lean approach. So what it says is the art of maximizing the amount of work not done. Focus on it. So don't do things that are not important. A lot of plenty of reports that we used to create, in last 50 years. Every project used to have, that you have to create a dashboard for management. You have to create this and that, and very unnecessary processes that we have just to maintain quality, just to maintain uh, audit audit trail. We used to have unnecessary practices. That's not required. Come on. I mean, I've been in the industry for 18 years. I have seen there were unnecessary things that I have done in my life. Believe me, we could have done better things in that time. Creating documents, similar thing is already available on cloud. I had to create another document for it. Right? So these kind of things, stop doing it. Make it very simple. The best architectures, requirements, and designs emerge from self-organizing teams. Very important point. You will see that when you read the Scrum Guide, it's all about self-organization, self-managing teams. Uh, Self-organizing because they are the people who are doing it. Your development team, your Scrum team is the set of people who are doing it. So you have to make sure that they are self-organizing. They know what to do. They know how to do it. You don't have to, kind of sit on their head, in that command and control kind of situation or position, right? And they are the people who give them a free hand, guys. Give them free hand, let them be creative. They will come up with good things. You just need to have some kind of trust on them. Have patience, have trust. help them, and you will see that that good thing will emerge out of it. At regular intervals, the team reflects on how to become more effective, then tunes and adjusts its behavior according. So it's very important to look back into what you have done, what has went well, right? How you can be better as a professional, as a team, right? As a person. So periodically, you'll have to look at that, and that's the essence of uh, being agile. You continuously evolve. Now, you can take any example. Uh, look at uh, probably look at WhatsApp. That's a very common uh, chat messenger that we have used so many years for last 12, 15 years, right? Look at how it is evolved. Now, imagine those two guys who were the creator of WhatsApp, had they stopped it right in the beginning, had they not thought about uh, making it better, had they not looked at themselves in the retrospect and seen that, there is a problem with this, we could have done something better, they wouldn't have come to this point today. So you'll have to look yourself into the mirror and see what else can I do better as a team. What can we do better? What new processes can be implemented? What are the old processes that we should get rid of? Those kind of things. And that's your what becomes your retrospective in when I talk of in terms of Scrum. Okay, so that's your 12 principles in a nutshell. I was very short about this, but there are a lot of good articles that are available on internet. You should go through it, read about it, and feel it from heart. Okay, you should. uh, Why it is written in such a language, in such a simple language, just 12 points, and that has really changed the entire industry, software industry, and not just software. If you go ahead and look at today's industry, Scrum is finding places in new industries also. Mhm. And it's all because of that agile manifesto and agile way of thinking, agility when we talk. So if you want to get detail on it, there are a lot of articles, well-written blogs that are available on scrum.org. There are a lot of tutorials on YouTube also. Go ahead and look at it and try to understand it. Try to understand what it means. What's the crux of it? Why? And I understand it, and I was able to relate to it because I've been in the industry for 18 years. I've worked in both the environments, the waterfall, the traditional project management style, and Scrum also. And that's why I was able to distinguish why Scrum is better. Right? Okay, then we are going to talk about the Scrum Master roles and responsibility. This is something that you can that is very I mean very much available on if you go ahead and look into Scrum Guide, there are a lot of pointers written out here over there. There are three ways the Scrum Masters their roles and responsibilities are. Either it is towards the Scrum team, it's towards the product owner, and towards the organization. So and uh, has to work with the Scrum team. I'm particularly talking about developers now. Okay. Then so if you're a Scrum Master, what is your responsibility towards a developer or towards a development team? You will have to ensure that you are coaching your team members in self-management and cross-functionality. This is something that you will have to coach them on. Okay, that they are cross-functional. So what it means is you'll have to teach them that guys, you have to evolve yourself. Don't be dependent on other teams. In a traditionally set up environment, you'll see that when you need a database administrator, you have to pick somebody from outside, from a different team, from an infrastructure team or a DBA team, right? No, you have to be cross-functional. That's what you have to teach them. If there is, let's say you guys are working on a Java stack, and then you need a person who, uh, and there's a requirement in your case that you need a person for React. Then you talk to your HR manager. Hey, we need a guy on React. Can you hire one? No, let's not get into that. You guys can train yourself. So that's what Scrum Master should look at. Can I prepare my team in such a way that they don't need anybody from any kind of external source for them to be successful in their initiative? That's what they need to look at. The other thing is making sure that your entire team, your entire Scrum team is actually uh, taking part in all the events, all the formal Scrum events. Earlier, they used to call it ceremonies, but ceremonies is not the right term. Ceremonies is something that has uh, come from different other uh, frameworks that are under Agile. So when you are talking about Scrum, particularly, talk only just says events. These are formal events. Okay, so that could be your Scrum, your planning, sprint planning meeting. That could be your daily Scrum. Okay, a lot of people call it daily stand up, but that's not the right term. I mean, we will talk about it. In the last slide, I've kept a note for that particularly. Okay, so that's your idea. That's about your that's the responsibility that you have towards your Scrum team. You need to resolve the impediments also. Any hindrance that's stopping them from being agile, being productive, being valuable, providing value to the customers. Any hindrance to that, you'll have to take care of that. I'm not saying that, if there's a problem in the organization or within your team members, just jump on it. No, you don't have to do that. But you can always motivate people. Okay. And that's why there are those five values that we talk about Scrum. FORCC. Just remember that term. Force. FORCC. Okay. Focus. Right. So has anybody read Scrum? I'm sure some of you might have read Scrum Guide. Anybody? Guys? No. Not yet. Okay. So that is something that you'll have to read. So we'll talk about Scrum Guide also. Uh, so you have certain responsibilities towards your product owner. You'll help them in finding ways to, for product goal definition and product backlog management. Okay. And towards organization, you'll have to coach your leadership. You'll have to plan events for your Scrum, right? For them to understand Scrum. Probably you'll also land up somewhere else in a different team where you will have to teach about Scrum so that people understand the entire framework, removing barriers between stakeholders and Scrum teams. Those are the kind of things that you'll need to do. That'll be your responsibility. Okay. Now, there are two very popular certifications in the industry. One is rewarded by scrum.org and the other one is from scrumalliance.org. Okay. Now, there is a significant difference between these two. My own I've my CSM. Okay, so I have one certification from Scrum Alliance. That's CSM, Certified Scrum Master. I've got plenty of at least six certifications from Scrum.org. Okay, there's a difference between these two, and we'll uncover that in the next slide. This is your path for if you are following Scrum.org. Okay, your PSM one certification, the Professional Scrum Master one certification. For that, there are in 60 minutes you have to complete 80 questions and your passing score should be 85%. It's a difficult exam. Difficult, at least for those who are new to Scrum. It may be difficult. Multiple answers and true and false kind of questions are there. Difficulty is intermediate. In the entire world, there are 524,648 certification holders. The good thing about Scrum.org is you don't have to uh, take a mandatory class from anywhere. But that's not the case with scrumalliance.org. For Scrum Alliance to appear for the CSM exam, and I'll show you, I'll show this section next. Uh, to have this certification, you need to mandatorily, you need to have that class from a professional trainer, right? And then they will give you once your course is complete, I think it's a 2 day course, around 16 hours, and they will give you a link. You have to click on that link and appear for an exam. It's a very easy exam. Okay. But that's not the case with PSM1. PSM1 is slightly tougher than CSM exam. Okay. Uh, PSM2, once so I'm not saying that you have to do PSM1 first and then PSM2. No, you can directly go for PSM2. That's another thing. Okay. The other thing is for any of the Scrum.org uh, certifications that we have in the market, they don't expire. That certification is lifelong. But that's not the case with CSM certification, with Scrum Alliance certification. You have to renew those every 2 years. That's a big problem with those. And probably you have to pay around, I think, $100 every 2 years to maintain that certification. Yeah. But that's not the case with Scrum.org. So there's a lot of advantage with Scrum.org. The only downside could be that you need 85% to pass the exam. And believe me, it will give you jitters. The first time you'll attempt it, yes, it may. Okay, so it's a little difficult, but with good practice, with a lot of practice and a lot of learning, you can crack the exam. PSM2 is the next level. Uh, Again, it has got 90 minutes uh, time limit. 30 questions are there. Uh, 85% passing marks. That's throughout. 85% is throughout all these three exams that we have. And PSM3, you can see only 1,000 people in the entire globe are certified. So just imagine the kind of, and just have a look at PSM2 also. And this record, this 24,000 people, I've taken the data yesterday. And that data is from 1st November 2022. Okay, so just imagine there are only 24,000 people who are PSM2 certified, and I'm one of them. Not to boast, but this one is a tough exam, PSM2. You will have to actually prepare yourself very well. You need to understand those concepts of Agile, Scrum, and typically Scrum. Okay, and PSM3, it's a godlike certification, very difficult to achieve because it has got essay type questions in it, and the results are released after 1 month. But in PSM1 and PSM2, the results are released immediately. Okay, so that's the structure with the Scrum.org, and this is with Scrum Alliance. You can get certified Scrum Master. You will have to take a 2 day mandatory course from a trainer. And if you go to their site called scrumalliance.org, you can go there, you can find a trainer and see what all next classes are available in your city. You can take that. You can also take virtual classes. And once that course is done, they are going to give you a link for the exam. You can attempt the exam. And I think the passing percentage is, I think, 75. I'm not very sure of that. Probably I'll have to go through it. Once you are done with this, then you can move on to advanced certified Scrum Master certification. Okay. Then again, but then the mandatory thing is you will have to renew it every 2 years by paying a price of $100. And finally, the god level over here is Certified Scrum Professional Scrum Master, ACSM. Again, you have to go through a course, mandatory course. And these courses are very expensive. I'm talking in terms of Indian rupees. I think it's the last I did CSM certification back in 2014, I guess. It was around 25,000. But that was paid by my company. But again, it's a little expensive, and I was maintaining it for until last year. and I was really sick of it. I shouldn't be saying this openly, but at one point of time, I realized that no, I already have PSM level 2 certification in my hand. And this is more popular in the industry today because you are not dependent on any kind of training. You can be a good self learner. You can learn from your organization. You can learn from a lot of sources that are available on internet. You don't have to stick to any kind of training. So that's how it is. But for people who are new in the industry or people who are new to Scrum, they should they can probably look at training things. Okay. I'll quickly talk about why Scrum Master certification is important. So the entire world is divided into two. A lot of people feel that certifications are not important. It's your knowledge. So I completely agree with that. But when you are preparing for a certification, there are a lot of things that you learn that otherwise you would have not learned. And in today's world, I've seen myself that people who are not certified, they have got a very vague, very unclear kind of understanding about Scrum. They don't know Scrum fully. The way it should be implemented. Right? So that's the whole thing. So it's important. It will also give you a very good advantage in terms of your appraisals, finding a new job, right? It shows as something that you have earned because of your hard work, right? And that's why you should do it. You should actually do it. Project mindset and product mindset. So project mindset is all about those traditional approaches. Uh, when I talk about project management, that's what it is all about. Whereas product mindset is all about Scrum. You are talking about value. You're talking about collaboration, customer collaboration. Whereas in project management, you used to talk about budgeting, schedule, quality, resources, whether they are even available or not, whether your project execution is going as per the plan or not. But today we don't talk about all these things. I mean, there are projects like that, but the focus is more on value now. The focus is more on consistently, incrementally delivering the value every sprint. Okay. Practical and theoretical experience, you will see this happening. A lot of when you appear for the interview, you will see that the the person who's asking you questions, even he or she doesn't have enough knowledge about Scrum. They will ask you questions that are, they either have picked it up from some kind of maybe from Google or from their own thought process, which is very close to project management. They are not going to ask you Scrum questions because they are themselves not learned. They have not done certifications. They don't even read. They think what they are doing is Scrum, but that's not the case. Okay, Scrum is believe me, and this is very common thing to talk about. Scrum is easy to understand because that Scrum guide that I'm talking about, because Scrum guide is, and we'll talk about that in the next slide. It talks only about, it has got only 14 pages, but believe me, it's an ocean in itself. The kind of knowledge it has. So if you have not read it ever and you have been and you think you are practicing Scrum, obviously it means that you are kind of in some kind of illusion, and that's where all the things go wrong. So that's why I say, there's a difference between practical experience and theoretical experience that you have. In theory, you might have read something, but in practical life, in your professional sphere, you might be implementing it or not. Depends on the situation, depends on your company culture, depends on whether you are even following Scrum or not. A lot of companies just project that they are doing Scrum, but they are not doing Scrum. Believe me, and this is something that you'll see when you appear for interviews or you actually start working in those kind of companies. You'll see that there's a big gap between what we call as Scrum. Now they have got their own version of Scrum, and they think what they are doing is right. So yeah, there is a gap. Key points for your preparation: you have to be very, very much aligned to your Scrum guide. and not your personal experience or professional experience that you have had as a Scrum Master. Make sure that you are certification. Make sure that you have read it very well. You have read the Scrum Guide very well, and just Scrum Guide is not going to help you. Scrum Guide is just a framework. It just entails the framework that we have. It's just 14 pages, guys. And in those 14 pages, just leave the first page, the preface, and the last two pages. Okay. Is effectively it's just 12 pages, 12 or 11 pages. The real content is there in those 10, 11, 11, 12 pages. But to understand that, you will need to read a lot of other books also. You'll need to read a lot of blogs. You'll need to probably do trainings. You need to be part of trainings also. Okay. The exam, PSM1 exam, it now you can imagine yourself. 1 hour, you have got 60 minutes, you have to attempt 80 questions. So just imagine you have to complete every question in probably less than 45 seconds. That's the difficulty level it has. So just imagine you should be well read, you should be well prepared. Okay. And passing percentage is 85. And that's the reason why, it's considered as a difficult exam, at least for the beginners. So here are some of the sources from where you can gain some information, more information on how to prepare for your certification. Scrum Guide is the Bible for you, right? Is the holy grail. So it's freely available on Scrum site. You can just do a quick search on Google, and it will give you the Scrum Guide. Okay, so download it and just download the 2020 version of it. That's the latest version that everybody's following. Your exam will be based on that. The earlier version was 2017 version, and there's a gap. I mean, there's change in terminology between 2017 and 2020, and certain concepts also, right? So make sure that you are downloading 2020 and you're reading 20. There's also an audio version that is available on YouTube. So probably you can go to YouTube and just it's 30 minutes long. If you don't like reading, probably you can just listen to it. Just say audiobook, Scrum Guide 2020 audiobook. And there are a lot of uh, links that are available over there. Once you have started preparing for the exam, for the certification, there is a free assessment uh, that is provided by scrum.org. From there, you can get your PSM1 certification. That's a kind of mock exam. They'll ask you 30 questions in 30 minutes. You have to answer, right? That's a kind of practice test that they give you freely. Okay, attempt that. Attempt that. Probably you should attempt it daily, and you will see that you have started getting the hang of Scrum very well. Okay? And it's something that everybody recommends. I'm also recommending that. They've got good questions. A lot of questions will be repeated, but never mind. Uh, at least you will have a fair understanding. In fact, I would rather recommend that before you start preparing for the PSM certification, this is the first test that you should take. So just do one thing. If you click on that, just go to scrum.org. In fact, I'll show you. Is my screen visible? Okay, I'll just. My Chrome is not working. Never mind. Just go to scrum.org. There is free assessment section over there under certifications. You can just have a look at that. And this is a link for it. Uh, okay. We have got Techcanvass courses. We have got PSM and PSM1 courses that are available. 16 hours of 10 to 16 hours of studies. There we have got around 200 over 200 kind of questions, different questions, mock questions that based on which you can prepare yourself. Okay. Uh, if you want more information, you can talk to Mahima. right away. You can look at our website, Techcanvass website. Under PSM, under Scrum Master certification, there is a section for PSM. Right? So you can look at that. Books. Now there's a book uh, that I've read couple of times when I was preparing for my certification. But the only difference is that this book is based on 2017 version of the Scrum Guide. It's not based on 2020 version. Okay, but still, okay, yeah. So Mahima has already shared it. So guys, you can just take a look at this link. All right. And obviously, I mean, even if I don't tell you right now, when you start preparing for Scrum exams, you will see, you'll get to know it. Somehow you'll get to know that, there's a free assessment section also, which helps a lot of students, a lot of aspirants. So this guide I'm talking about, it's written by Hiren Doshi. He's one of the uh, professional Scrum trainers who got directly uh, trained by the authors of the fathers of Scrum, Ken Schauber and Jeff Sutherland. He has written a guide, Scrum Insights for Practitioners, the Scrum Guide Companion. So this guide, it's very short guide, I think 120, around these many pages are there. It's very well written, very simple to understand, and it's got a lot of details. Your Scrum Guide won't be enough. You'll have to read some kind of supplement because you will have a lot of questions and these questions are not answered in Scrum Guide. But for that, Scrum Insight for Practitioners uh, is one guide that you should go ahead and read. Okay. And but the only downside is that it's based on the 2017 version, but nevertheless, uh, at least for the Scrum understanding, for understanding the whole framework, it's very good book. Okay, must recommended by me. Okay, that's pretty much it, guys. Now you can come up with your questions. I'll be more than happy to help and answer your questions. Come on, guys. Any question? Be let it be. I mean, be it silly, stupid kind of question, whatever it is. Feel free to ask. This is the time. Anyone? Any question on the Scrum certification exam?
Guys, if you have any questions, you can unmute yourself and ask or use the chat box for the same.
So, Nitish, to answer your question, to do the certification, you don't need any kind of experience. You should have a good understanding of the Scrum framework. That's it. Okay. But to be an effective Scrum Master, you will, it will take years, couple of years for you to, establish yourself as a Scrum Master. I hope I've answered your question, Nitish. Okay, so that's it from our side, guys. If you guys have any questions, you can check with Mahima. All right. Uh, there are courses that are available from Techcanvass, the professional. Yep, info@techcanvass.com. You can send out an email. You can check our website over there. And these are you'll get uh, that knowledge right from industry experts that are there in the industry. So have a look at that and let us know if you have any feedback or any kind of information that you want. We'll be more than happy to help you guys. Right. So have a good time, guys. Have a wonderful weekend and let's catch up some other day. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks,
Thank you
Mahima.
everyone for joining in.
Thanks, guys.
The recording has stopped.